We're going to be getting right on into TWIG. Folks, welcome to TWIG, your weekly geekly family-friendly news show that tackles everything from 2 decades of Steam to Tears of the Kingdom getting 0 DLC with some games in between. If you are listening on our podcast, be sure to give us a good review and click that like if you're on YouTube. Also, hi YouTube, or come and listen live here on twitch.tv/checkpointchurch every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, or as soon as we're able to get to it. We're going to start the show as we always do with our watch, play, read. What did you watch? What did you play? What did you read over this past weekend? I watched One Piece live action. I'm still getting into it. And I gotta say, I really like live action anyway. I'm pretty generous, even to when they look bad or even to fill in the blank here. And I think One Piece live action really is great. It's definitely worth watching, and especially for an anime that has so many episodes, it is a great introduction to the series. So if you haven't started it yet, I recommend it. I think it's a lot of fun. I think it's a good time. I enjoy the cast a whole bunch. I enjoy the presentation. I think so far it's getting all of the checks in the boxes for me. I've been playing our Button Bash Brigade, our B3 game, which is The Messenger. Super enjoying that so far. I'm also playing through Starfield. I officially started Starfield because I did finish Baldur's Gate, and I'm enjoying it. It's fine. I think that it's fairly underwhelming, but it's a good game. It feels like Fallout in space, and that's what I wanted, and I'm here for it. I'm going to continue playing and see if I can get through the mainline story before I move on to the next thing. Unfortunately, Pokemon DLC comes out tomorrow, and so I don't know how this is going to work out with my timing. I am actually continuing to binge through Tokyo Revengers. I am reading My Hero Academia, trying to catch back up with where they are. And I've been inspired by One Piece live action to do some One Piece. So I'm there. I'm into it. I'm back into One Piece. I'm on like chapter 700, and I got like 300 to go. So we'll see how quickly that happens. Probably not real fast. All right, turning to the chat, Mayfly says, still doing all those things in BG3, almost 200 hours in, 3 characters, and having it Act 3. I will say, spoiler free, that's honestly a fine place to be. If I could, I would advise that no one play Act 3. I think that Act 3 is a fine story, but until they get those bug fixes, it is really not worth playing. It really, really sullied my experience. Like I've ranted and raved about it more than enough over in our Discord, but Act 1 and 2, I would say Act 1 was like 8 out of 10, really good game. Act 2 was like 10 out of 10, almost a perfect experience. And then Act 3 just brought it all down. And I'm hearing a lot of people saying good things about it, and I just can't agree with them. I don't know. It's bad. It's bad. It's worse than I expected, and I'm very hopeful. I did play it on Steam Deck, and so I do want to give them credit there, but I'm certainly hearing that experience is pretty universal. I may have exacerbated it and made it that much worse, but regardless, my advice to anybody wanting to get through this, even on a it's not though. It's not like I've had like people missing hair or something like that. It will be like people won't react to something that happens, or they will think that I've done something that I haven't done. Like it's game breaking stuff. It's not like goofy, silly bugs. Like I've logged into Starfield before and somebody's been just eyeballs. Like that's funny. But Act 3 of particular of Baldur's Gate is like, it's just unfinished. It's just unfinished. So I would say you're in a good place, Mayfly. Keep on enjoying those 200 hours. Keep on making new characters and living through what I consider to be 2 of the best acts of video game that came out this year. I still think Tears of the Kingdom is better for me, but hard to deny Baldur's Gate 3, Act 1 and Act 2 as just absolute hallmarks of gaming. Totally worth your time and worth playing again and again and again. In fact, I'm planning on maybe starting up a playthrough with some of my buddies from college, and I will totally enjoy Act 1 and 2 with them all over again. And I'm totally down for that. Welcome in, Alindris. We're glad that you're here. Let us know, what did you watch, play, and read this past weekend? With that, we're actually going to move in to some of our headlines for tonight. So our first headline, speaking of Baldur's Gate and my experience on the Steam Deck, we're going to talk about Steam. 2 decades on Steam. Valve honored its oldest users, but what brought those very first gamers to the platform might just surprise you. Steam, the widely popular digital PC gaming storefront, is celebrating the 20th anniversary of some of its oldest user accounts. To mark the occasion, Valve, the company behind Steam, is gifting these gaming veterans with special digital badges that showcase the original color scheme of the Steam platform. The badge, adorned in an army green hue, is reminiscent of the very first Steam UI design from its inception in September 2003. The Steam's community response was varied, with younger users expressing their intrigue about the platform's early days. Notably, many of those old accounts are still active, reflecting 2 decades of loyalty. Throughout these years, Steam has transformed significantly, even expanding into hardware with the recent introduction of the handheld Steam Deck. I thought this was just fun to note. I don't really have anything to add to this story necessarily. I've certainly not been on Steam for 2 decades. I've probably been on Steam for a decade. I grew up a console gamer, and around the time that I got to college, I learned the glory that is PC gaming. In particular, I learned it first on the Mac, which is kind of ironic considering they are known for not being very great at gaming and very limited in their gaming capacity, or what they allow to be played. And so I've enjoyed my experience with Steam from beginning to end, with Humble Bundle and throwing in all those games in there. I love Steam. I think it's a great platform. I appreciate what they do for me. I appreciate what they do for the independent community and for the indie community, as it were. And I'm glad to see that they're 2 decades old and honoring and respecting those people that have been around with them from the very beginning. So nothing to add, but hey, who has the oldest Steam account? I guess if you have one that's older than me, I got mine in 2012. So if you have one that's older, there you go. Alendra's already capping out. Alendra's had one for 16 years. That's awesome. If anybody has one that's older than 16, I'm at 11 years myself. Let us know if you have more than 16 years here in the chat or in the comment section of this YouTube video if you're watching over on YouTube. With that, let's go to the next one. Skull and Bones. Skull and Bones, 3 creative directors down, numerous delays, and an uncertain future. Yet could this be Ubisoft's unexpected masterpiece in disguise? I doubt it. Ubisoft's highly anticipated game, Skull and Bones, has experienced another setback with the departure of its 3rd creative director, Elizabeth Pellin, who moved from Ubisoft Singapore back to Ubisoft's Paris office. Pellin has been part of the Skull and Bones team since 2018 and was pivotal in rebooting the game's creative direction. While Ubisoft acknowledges her successful redirection, the game's release remains uncertain. Initially introduced at E3, the game has been delayed 6 times already, with its latest projected launch falling within the 2023-24 fiscal year. Furthermore, rumors suggest that Ubisoft might be developing a remake of Black Flag, which interestingly introduced the pirate ship combat that is inspired in Skull and Bones. Despite these challenges, recent hand-on interviews and reviews of the game remained positive. I do not think we're going to see Skull and Bones. That's my hot take. I really think they're going to can it. We will see what Ubisoft decides to do and if they actually end up releasing this game. I'm not excited for this game at all. I don't think a pirate game sounds very fun. I'm not really into pirates in that way. I'm not like interested in playing a video game of them. I didn't super enjoy Sea of Thieves. I didn't super enjoy the idea or the concept behind them. I'm not a fan of Ubisoft at all. I don't like Assassin's Creed games even a little bit. And so I'm not excited for this franchise or for it to come out. And I'm certainly not excited about the fact that it keeps getting delayed and pushed. So I don't know. Maybe we'll see it. Maybe we'll see it next year. I wouldn't hold my breath if I were just a big Skull and Bones fan that just keeps waiting on this thing to come out there. Certainly discouraging to see their creative director leave and it be the 3rd creative director to leave. It feels plagued at this point, but you know, Ubisoft's going to Ubisoft, and they got the money and they've got the support. So it's just a matter of getting the thing out the door and being proud with the product. And we will see if they ever run with it or if they just kind of continue circling the wagons around this one. With that, into our next story. No DLC for Tears of the Kingdom, but could a whole new Zelda adventure be on the horizon? Nintendo hints at a return to the world we've come to love. Nintendo has made it clear they won't be releasing any DLC for The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom and will instead focus on creating a new game in the Zelda series. Despite the unexpected decision, especially given the game's significant success, having sold over 18.51 million units in just 6 weeks, IG Aonuma, the game's producer, believes they have exhausted all fun possibilities in that world. Interestingly, the game's predecessor, Breath of the Wild, did receive DLC in the form of an expansion pass. However, Aonuma hinted at a potential return to the Hyrule world in a completely new game, whether it's a sequel or an entirely new concept. The game director, Hidemaro Fubayashi, expressed gratitude gratitude for the massive support Tears of the Kingdom received and promised to make the upcoming game even better. I think that this is unsurprising. I know that the first one did get DLC, and maybe Breath of the Wild needed it, especially since Breath of the Wild came out on such a pivotal year of introducing the Switch. But I think Tears of the Kingdom is a pretty perfect game, and I really can't think of anything to add for it. I don't know what they would do with the DLC, except for maybe introduce new characters. I don't know what they could do. Like, they put everything in this game. They put everything in the kitchen sink. You can explore the world underneath, on, and the sky. You can build anything you can dream of and want of. They have a house for you to live in. Like, I just don't know what more they could add in DLC. I think it's a pretty perfect game. I think it's completely finished. I don't think it needs any more love. And so I think that this was a real love letter game to fans of Breath of the Wild and improved upon the original in every way. It brought everything that I needed from it, and I wouldn't want to go back to the world in any way other than to experience the game again. So I think it's perfect. I guess the only thing they could have done was add a whole new zone. I mean, they can't add another zone. Like, it's just a perfect game. I can't think of anything they could add that would be worth it for DLC. I am a little concerned to see that they're thinking about making another game in this version of Hyrule. We'll see. I hope not. I kind of hope we move on to a new iteration next time. No Zelda game has ever gotten 2 sequels. Like, sometimes there will be a sequel in that universe, but throwing another one in there would just not work for me for Zelda. I don't think that's ever been done. So maybe this will be the first. It's definitely been the most popular, but yeah, it's no telling. Still haven't finished Tears of the Kingdom. That's okay. That's okay. Everybody's got their game and everybody's got their stuff that is obsessing them this year. I would have said before playing Baldur's Gate that Tears of the Kingdom has literally no competition this year, but I think Baldur's Gate could take it. I don't think it deserves it over the Tears of the Kingdom at all. But I've also heard some people offer opinions that Tears of the Kingdom is just glorified DLC itself, which I am furious every time I hear it, but I will deal. I will handle my rage that fires in my belly every time I hear somebody say that it's DLC, because doggone it, that's just what a sequel is. People don't understand. I digress. I could see a lot of things being contenders for Game of the Year, in particular Baldur's Gate and Tears of the Kingdom. I think they are 2 of the best games that have come out this year, and we'll see what comes out of the Game Awards whenever we enter that season. And I, for one, am very excited for what comes out of that season. We're going to move into a bit of a controversy that is currently going on in the movie review world. Is that fresh review truly fresh? A PR scheme on Rotten Tomatoes might just have you rethinking that movie night choice. Rotten Tomatoes, a well-known film and television reviews aggregator, has come under fire after a report by Vulture revealed a PR firm named Bunker 15 paid critics to write positive reviews for the 2018 Daisy Ridley drama Ophelia. After initial unfavorable reviews, Bunker 15 reportedly began offering critics $50 each for positive reviews, pushing the movie's score from a rotten 46% to a fresh 62%. This increase led IFC Films to acquire the movie for distribution. Bunker 15 denies the allegations, but this discovery highlights the potential vulnerabilities of critics aggregators and their influence on both the film industry and consumers. Now, this, for me, doesn't mean anything. I don't use Rotten Tomatoes. I don't trust their reviews. Every time I've seen a review from Rotten Tomatoes, I've pretty much disagreed with it. I can't think of one time off the top of my head that I happen to have looked them up and like agreed with their assessment. I think that they're a bad review score. I personally like Google reviews, but that's just because I'm a Google boy through and through. My favorite thing to do is go check the IMDb store. Actually, my favorite thing to do is just go see the movie myself, or ask a friend that I trust their opinion, what they thought about the movie. But for the most part, I don't use Rotten Tomatoes. This is obviously bad, though. People manipulating the market or manipulating the system of a digital marketplace is obviously a problem. It's obviously lying and a false front and not okay, especially only paying them $50. Come on, are you kidding me? A $50 for a review? That's insanity. They absolutely got robbed if Bunker 15 only paid them $50. At the very least, self-respecting critics, come on, have some appreciation for your craft and charge more than $50 to lie. I mean, come on here. All right, let's give ourselves a little bit of credit. Yeah, I am interested to hear if more of these come out now. Like, if now we start to hear a bunch of people have done this and there's a big expose on Rotten Tomatoes, that would bring me joy, because again, not a fan. But I would be sad to see that so many reviewers were so easily bought out. It is what it is at the end of the day, and you can only trust what you can trust. Trust the media sources that you've learned to trust or that you appreciate, or just ask a friend, because that's always going to be the best way to either go see it for yourself or ask somebody that you know you can trust because they're flesh and blood right in front of you, such as myself. I will always tell you my honest assessment. Nobody has bought any of my reviews, and you know that because they're all garbage. My opinions, nobody wants to buy them. They're not even worth the $50, but I'll offer them anyway. From the neon-lit alleyways of a Cyber City game to the big screen, Stray is set to purr its way into the animated world. Annapurna has revealed plans to develop an animated movie based on the 2022 adventure game Stray, produced by Blue 12 Studio. This project is a part of the newly initiated animation division of Annapurna, overseen by former Disney Animations executive Robert Baird and Andrew Milstein. The game, Stray, is recognized for its cyberpunk setting and a unique narrative involving a cat as a protagonist. This initiative by Annapurna signifies their intent to adapt more titles from their extensive video game library into animated content. I'm excited for this. I think this is good news. I would love to see more video game adaptations, and I think that Annapurna probably has the best stories out there. I'm thrilled to see that Annapurna is focusing on this. If you missed Nimona, you should go back and watch Nimona, a delightful Netflix anime adaptation or comic adaptation that was published by Annapurna. And I think we're going to continue to see more good work from them. I've always been a fan of Annapurna and the work that they put out there. They are big supporters of indie games. I would put them up neck and neck with Devolver. And I think that the work that they have done towards indie games and indie games that are particularly focused on story is great work, and I appreciate that they're here bringing it and bringing their A game and now turning those things that they're known for, stories, into a different medium of story that more people will experience. I'm a fan of this all around. I thought that Stray was just okay, but I think that as a story, it was real fun and cute, and hopefully it will do super well on the silver screen. So I'm excited for that to continue happening and to see what Annapurna decides to do next. Now, this image. From the vast universes of Skyrim and Fallout to the spiritual calling of the Jesuit order and back again, discover how Bethesda's quest for religious authenticity in Starfield led them to a former game designer turned priest. Bethesda, the acclaimed game developer known for the titles such as Skyrim and Fallout, has integrated a former writer of theirs, Shane Lysengang, into their development process for the game Starfield. Lysengang, who once contributed to Fallout 4 and Skyrim, departed from Bethesda to pursue a life as a Jesuit priest. Given Starfield's thematic focus on religion, the game developer decided to rehire Lysengang to help create an authentic religious feel in the game. Bethesda's decision was driven by a desire to ensure the religious texts within the game were crafted by someone with legitimate religious experience and education. Starfield introduces players to three religions: the Sanctum Universum, the Enlightened, and Hars Varun. Bethesda has released Starfield, which has earned a review score of 7 out of 10 by IGN. I was thrilled to read this. This is really kind of not a news story. I don't have anything to add to this one again, except for the fact that I am a religious person. I am a pastor and an ordained elder, and I have a background in all of these things. And so pretty cool to see that someone was hired and that Bethesda took the time to actually care about this element and to craft a legitimate religious story within their game. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not very far into Starfield, but we've already had a couple conversations with some of the side characters about religion, and I thought that they felt like good. Like they were deep and they were good questions and really relevant. And often religion can just kind of become the butt of the joke in video games. And I was thrilled to see it being taken seriously in this one. And I'm going to say good on Bethesda here. I'm proud that they did this. I think that it's a good call. And I'm glad to see that somebody that is in the ministry in some way, shape, or form is being brought in to consult on the religious aspects of a game. I think that's great. Kudos to them. I'd love to see more of it. I would also be, I'd be down to be asked. All right. I'm just saying here, if you got a game studio, Bethesda, if you're listening, or anybody else, and you'd like a pastor to just look over your notes, just hit me up at checkpointchurch@gmail.com. I got you. I got your back. All right. Next up, we're going to get into everybody's favorite segment of the show, Cryptic Critiques. That's right. It is time for Cryptic Critiques. We all know it. We all love it. Cryptic Critiques is the game show where I will be describing to you a real 1-star review, 3 real 1-star reviews of a pretty loved and pretty beloved game, often considered a 5-star game. So we're going to go through those 3 prompts. I would encourage you in the chat, or if you're listening, or if you're on TikTok, or wherever you may be, see if you can come up with the answer to this one before the 3rd prompt, before I give away what the answer is. All right, let's get right on into Cryptic Critiques. The first prompt: early PS3 gamers were really that desperate for games, huh? It's the first prompt. I gave you a little time zone to work with. Prompt number 2. I would have just kept watching my Talladega Nights Blu-ray instead when this came out. So another time zone one that I gave you there. All right, final prompt. Prompt number 3. I only finished this because I wanted to play the other games. There you go. Those are your hints. Early PS3 gamers were really that desperate for games. I would have kept watching my Talladega Nights Blu-ray instead. And I only finished this one because I wanted to play the other games. That's right. Who's guessed it? Who out there thinks that they know it? The correct answer is Uncharted Drake's Fortune, the somewhat controversial first game in the title that was just all right before it became remastered and much more beloved. So a bit of an unfair answer in the sense that this game was not that great when it first came out, but it did lead to one of the more famous series ever made. So pretty neat stuff to see so many people absolutely not liking this. And I thought the burns on this one were just particularly funny, especially because they mentioned Talladega Nights just randomly in there, and I had to throw that one in here. So there you go. Let me know if you got it in the chat or down in the comment section if you were able to come up with what the correct answer was before we got to the end. With that, we're going to go into everybody's favorite segments of the show. That's right, it's time for To the Discord. If you would like to submit news to us, you can use our Discord, !Discord, at any point in the chat or down in the description of this video. Or you can go to bit.ly/DearTwig, DearTwig. Submit your news there and let us know what you would like us to know. The first one is submitted by Humar Wit Ill, otherwise known as Cam. The Tokyo Game Show is back, and 2023 seems to be its most ambitious year yet. The Computer Entertainment Suppliers Association unveiled a packed schedule that indicates a significant resurgence of the event after a 4-year hiatus. Now, I'm gonna blow this one up a little bit so we can kind of see what the schedule actually looks like for this year. It's pretty hype, pretty exciting this year, what we've got. We've got a keynote opening program, the Gamera Games, Amazing Season, the Japanese Game Awards, of course. But then you can also see we've got a presentation specifically from Microsoft Corporation Japan, a presentation specifically by 505, a presentation just by Sega and Atlas, a presentation by Level 5, Koei Tecmo, Capcom. There's going to be a Sense of Wonder, some kind of presentation, another Koei Tecmo, a 2-hour Hoyoverse adventure, a 2-hour Square Enix adventure, Project Moon, D3 Publisher, Reverse 1999, I can't read that other one, Bungo Online Entertainment. There is a lot being packed into this, as well as multiple Japan Game Awards presentations in this one. I am excited. I'm always hopeful whenever we see Capcom, especially since Street Fighter's already come out. That means they can't talk about Street Fighter this time. I hope we hear about Ace Attorney. I want some Phoenix Wright. We're not going to. There's no chance we're going to hear about Phoenix Wright this year. But man, what I wouldn't give. What I wouldn't give for some more Ace Attorney. I love those games so much. I will definitely be watching Tokyo Game Show. I don't know how much we'll be watching at Checkpoint, but be sure to join our Discord and I will let you know exactly what we're watching and when we're watching it together over in that space. With that, we're going to get into our next To the Discord submitted news story. This one is by Buish. Buish, swipe, score, and play. The new Xbox MasterCard offers tantalizing rewards, but is it the ultimate gaming power-up or a boss-level financial challenge? Microsoft is partnering with Barclays U.S. Consumer Bank to launch the Xbox MasterCard. This credit card has no annual fee, allows cardholders to earn points on daily purchases that can be redeemed for games and add-ons at Xbox.com. Initially, the card will be available exclusively to Xbox insiders residing in the continental U.S., Alaska, and Hawaii from September 21st onward. It'll be open to all Xbox players in these regions in 2024. The card offers various point multipliers based on the type of purchase, such as 5x points for eligible products at Microsoft Store, 3x on streaming and dining delivery service, and 1x on all everyday purchases. Additional benefits include 5,000 bonus points on sign up after first purchase, 3 months of Game Pass, and an option to choose from the designs, as well as contactless support, FICO credit score, online access, and $0 fraud liability protection. Now, I'm not here to advertise a credit card to you because I also would just discourage anyone from utilizing credit cards, especially improperly. me. But this is curious and interesting and news, and certainly worth at least knowing that it exists, especially if you're an avid gamer or just an average user of these things. You might want to collect those points and pay off your balance at the end of every month and utilize this properly. We really discourage debt in the church circles, but I still found this interesting enough to at least let you know about. Well, now we're going to move to the next one. From farm to haunted confectionery, could a familiar face from Stardew Valley be stirring the pot in the haunted chocolatier? Eric Concerned 8 Barone, the creator of the popular farm simulation game Stardew Valley, has teased a new screenshot from his upcoming game, The Haunted Chocolatier. The screenshot features an elderly man with a white beard in bed alongside an unnamed figure. Fans speculate that this character resembles Grandpa from Stardew Valley, the character who bequeaths the farm to the player and returns in a ghostly form to assess the player's achievements. This has led to numerous fan theories, one of which suggests a shared universe between the two games, where the player's Stardew Valley character has a sibling running the chocolate shop in the Haunted Chocolatier. While Barone has remained tight-lipped about the specifics, he hinted at more unreleased content from the upcoming game. He also mentioned that he's working on a Stardew Valley 1.6 update and the upcoming cookbook, of course, that we mentioned last week on TWIG. I love Stardew Valley. I'm so excited for Haunted Chocolatier, and I was so glad to obviously see Grandpa. Folks, it's Grandpa. There's literally no question in my mind. This is 100% Grandpa. He's back. I don't know what's going to happen with him. I don't know if they're going to kill him in the first act of the game, just like they did with Stardew. I don't know what's about to happen to Grandpa. I'm a little concerned. I'm a little scared for Grandpa, but we're going to find out what happens to him, and it is almost certainly that character. Why else would Eric have shared this? Why else would everybody be speculating? Why else would he look the way he does? Why would he be in a bed? It's Grandpa, folks. Come on. It's just as clear as day. With that, that wraps up our To The Discord section. So if you would like to submit news, again, that's bit.ly/DearTwig, DEARTWIG, or just go join our Discord and use our news section there. With that, we're going to move into everybody's next favorite segment of the show.
At this point in nerd history.
That's right. It is at this point in nerd history. Everything that was released on this exact day, November. Wow, I'm skipping months. Everything that was released on this exact day throughout time and space in the nerdy sphere, September 12th throughout time and space. Not that much this time. So first off, we have some games that were released on September 12th throughout time and space. Back in 2012, the somewhat cult classic horror Sonic game, Sonic.exe. In 2009, Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver were released in Japan. In 2006, Lego Star Wars 2, the original trilogy, was released. And in 1998, one of my favorite versions of Pokemon, Pokemon Special Edition Pikachu, was released for the Game Boy in Japan. Pretty exciting stuff. On TV, the original Lassie TV show debuted on CBS in 1954 on this day. And then one of my favorite movies of all time, probably the best Nick Cage performance in my humble opinion, 2003 on this day, Matchstick Men was released. If you've never seen Matchstick Men, do yourself a favor and go watch Matchstick Men. It's so good. It's a 10 out of 10 movie. It's one of my favorites of all time. Sam Rockwell kills it, dude. It is such a good performance by all the actors. Alison Lohman is phenomenal. It's just it's a great movie. It's worth every minute of your time. You need to go watch Matchstick Men if you haven't already. And if you have, then go watch it again because I'm going to. With that, that's been all that at this point in nerd history. Now we're going to get into another favorite segment of the show. That's right. It is upcoming releases. What is coming out in the next week, what came out today, and then going forward into next week. On TV, we have a show called The Swarm airing today. Moving on to movies, we have all of our movies coming out this Friday, the 15th. A Haunting in Venice, which is the latest Hercule Poirot Agatha Christie story, is coming out. Challengers, the new Zendaya tennis romance drama, is coming out. My Animal, which is a new take on the werewolf genre. And then a really cool stop motion project called The Inventor, which is on the life and times of Da Vinci. Pretty interesting stuff. Comics coming out today, we have Batman and Robin, and then The Witcher Omnibus Volume 2 is dropping. So if you've been wanting to read The Witcher and want it in bulk, then that is dropping today. In the world of games, the games that were released today, number one is a pixel text adventure called I Doesn't Exist. I saw Jate play this one. It looked super interesting, and I have it on my list to play in the near future. A Persona-like JRPG dating sim, Eternites, is releasing today. A food art game called Nour? I don't know much about that one. Super Bomberman R2. If you've never played Super Bomberman R, it's a great fun party game time. A new FMV game that we actually played on our Monday that did not go super well. The Isletide Hotel was released today. A new roguelike called Gravity Oddity drops tomorrow the 13th. Also dropping tomorrow is Gunbrella, a platformer in which you have an umbrella that's also a gun. I'm very curious about that one, and I'd like to play it very much. Thank you, please. A roguelike tower defense deck builder named Heretics Fork is coming out tomorrow. Land Above Sea Below strategy puzzle is coming out. The Crew Motorfest is coming out tomorrow. Gun Umbrella, indeed. Ugly, a platformer, is coming out tomorrow. On the 14th, we have a horror game called Ad Infinitum, and then we also have one called AK Zolotl. Instead of Axolotl, it's AK, as in an AK-47. It's a shooter featuring an axolotl. Behind the Frame VR, Deceit 2, which is a kind of werewolf type game, a horror game, is coming out. Heavy Duty Challenge, the off-road truck simulator. Random pick for the 14th of September, Inspector Gadget Mad Time Party. I don't know why we're still releasing Inspector Gadget games, but okay. Monster Hunter Now, the AR game, the Pokemon Go clone, is coming out on the 14th. The 15th, a new farming sim called Japanese Rural Life Adventure, NASCAR Arcade Rush, and then a gorgeous looking RPG called Wandering Sword is dropping on the 15th. Coming up on the 18th, we have one called Paperman Adventure Delivered, looks like kids platformer, and then a tactical stealth game called Spirited Thief. Then we move into DLC. We have 2 DLC, both coming out tomorrow, the 13th. The first one, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, The Hidden Treasure of Area Zero, Part 1, The Teal Mask drops tomorrow. And then Treachery in Beatdown City Ultra Remix is coming out in the near future. So there are your entries, and those are the exciting games. Let me know down in the comments or in the chat if any of those are doing it for you. If there's something that you are interested in seeing. I am particularly curious about quite a few of these games, really. I think they're all fairly interesting, and at least interesting enough to engage me. And so I'm curious, obviously, about Pokemon, curious about I Doesn't Exist, Eternites, Isletide, Gunbrella, Wandering Sword. So there you go. That's quite a few games that I'm super curious about this time, and I hope to learn more about. With that, we're getting into one of our final segments of the show. Meme of the week. That's right. It is our meme of the week. Our meme of the week this week was submitted by Zando by using our Memes and Goofs channel. I'll zoom in a little bit so we can all see it. It is a Tumblr post here. It says, "None of y'all know what propaganda actually is, do you?" And then Ashley, etc., says, "It's when a British person takes a good look at something, as in a propaganda." And Tchaikovsky Kaya says that this is legitimately the absolute funniest thing anyone has ever added to one of my posts. Thank you for your service. A propaganda, isn't it? So there you go. A little goofy bit. I've seen that one make the round several times, but I never cease laughing at it. Always enjoy it. That has been The Week in Geek. Thank you for being here. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Nerd Pastor Nate. I'm the pastor of this community, Checkpoint Church. We are a real church for nerds, geeks, and gamers, fully online, fully in a digital space here on twitch.tv/Checkpoint Church, over on discord.gg/Checkpoint Church, and on youtube.com/Checkpoint Church. We are here. We are having fun. We're making good content, and we're building a great community in this space. This, again, has been TWIG, your weekly geekly family-friendly news show, delivered live on twitch.tv/Checkpoint Church each week, keeping your family connected to the world of nerdy news. If you watched this far, you likely enjoyed this one, so remember to give us a 5-star on your favorite podcast reviewing app. Click that like button and recommend the show to all of the nerds in your life. Folks, that is going to be the end of this show and also the end of this stream. We are going to end this one, as we always do, with our 3 things that we will do about every single one of you out there. Number 1, we believe that God loves you, like really, really loves you. Number 2, we love you, like really, really love you. We want community with you. That's what we're doing here. And number 3, really that you, yes, you matter. You are a person of sacred worth. The world is a better place. Why? Because you are in it. Folks, with that, until the next time that I see ya,